Don't you think that'd be better faster? I do. I want to dance to it, not. But so I'll take it up with Mr. Pomerantz.
I think it was written at the skate world.
Yeah. Oh, written at Skate World. That's funny. So. Good morning. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane. It's nice to be back with you, and I'd like to welcome you to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If this is your very first time here, we extend a special welcome to you and thank you for spending your morning with us. On your bulletin cover, there's a tear-off strip that we would love for you to fill out with your contact information. We will not abuse it. We will not barrage you with emails. We will not give it away. So I'll simply use it to say thank you for being here and to, if you desire to be put on our Wednesday, every Wednesday morning I send out a little spiritual message, very short. We'll put you on that list. Oh, I just wanted to tell you that today is National Lipstick Day. So happy National Lipstick Day. Now to some of us this is a high holiday. This is why I have that red card at Sephora. Anyway, happy National Lipstick Day. And with that, I will tell you who's doing what. Giving our reading and invocation this morning is Stephanie Stewart. We have a lot of practitioners who are on vacation today. But Stephanie and Linda and Marge are here, so we thank them. I hope I didn't miss anybody else. So Stephanie will be doing our reading and invocation, and she and Linda Andriaco will be doing our interfaith candle lighting, and Marge Russell is holding vigil. We do this interfaith candle lighting every week to remind us that there are all sorts of wells for this great underground river of wisdom, and they come from all the world's religious traditions, and we look at them all and glean from them the commonalities between them. So today all the kids are with us here in service, and we are very grateful that they are. Thank you for being here with us and for helping us create the service today. I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements and then we will move on. We've changed that in the order of service, and since I did the bulletin this week, I noticed it hadn't been changed. So if you find any glaring errors in the bulletin, it's my fault, not Clara's. I'll take the blame. I haven't created a bulletin in a long time, so we'll just see how it goes. If you can carry a tune and you want to sing with us, we're creating a little choir. We'll start to get together this month to do some rehearsal, just a couple of rehearsals, because it's a very simple but very powerful piece of music. There's a sign-up sheet over at the Welcome Center where you can add your name and phone number, and I'll get in contact with you very soon. There's also a flyer in your bulletin about our Roots class. It's a shortened version this August, facilitated by Stephanie Stewart, who is a practitioner, but she's also a senior ministerial student. So she has. It's going to be a really good class. She and I have pruned the curriculum, and I think you're going to love it. There's also a reminder on the other side of the flyer about our school supply drive for Choices. Choices is an organization that helps kids in foster care, and there's only a certain age where they can stay in foster care, and so before they age out, Choices tries to help them get ready to be in the real world. And some of these kids are living independently in apartments, but they're in high school and college, and we're trying to get them ready for school. And then after that, we'll help them get their kitchens up and running, the kids who are in independent living. So by August 12th, if you would please purchase and bring an item or two from the list that's on that flyer over to that barrel, that would be wonderful. This is the first part of an ongoing relationship with Choices Agency and their independent living clients and us. The only other thing I want to say is that our practitioners who are here today will be available at the end of service to pray with you if there's anything that you would like prayer with, or having trouble seeing around or through. They're happy to help you. They're each wearing a white or a teal stole. Just walk up to them and ask. It's their gift to you on Sundays with their deep love. And now it's time for another song.
Dan's going to sing one.
Dan has a song called Be the Change, right?
Yep.
Good. Be the Change.
We light the first candle in honor of Judaism. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. We light the second candle in honor of Christianity. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We light the third candle in honor of Buddhism. May I experience love, joy, wonder, and wisdom in this life just as it is, as I move to wholeness and unity. We light the fourth candle in honor of Islam. A man went to the door of the beloved and knocked. A voice asked, "Who is there?" He answered, "It is I." The voice said, "There is no room here for me and thee," and the door remained shut. After a year of solitude and deprivation, this man returned to the door of the beloved. He knocked. A voice from within asked, "Who is there?" The man said, "It is thou," and the door was opened for him. We light the fifth candle in honor of Taoism. The great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. It nourishes the 10,000 things. We light the sixth candle in honor of Native American traditions. Each morning upon rising and each evening before sleeping, give thanks for the life within you and for all life, for the good things the Creator has given you and for the opportunity to grow a little more each day. Consider your thoughts and actions of the past day and seek for the courage and strength to be a better person. Seek for the things that will benefit everyone. And we light the final candle in honor of the Sikh religion. I challenge the darkness. If nothing else, then at least around myself, I will not let it settle. Around myself, I will establish light. Today's reading comes from our founder, Ernest Holmes. We are all broadcasting stations, whether or not we know it. Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our faiths and fears, tend to make an imprint on our environment. It is fascinating to think that we are both mental broadcasting stations and receiving sets. And it will be even more wonderful when we learn to broadcast only the kind of messages that we wish to have return. So if you'll all join me in a few moments of silence as we contemplate today's reading. So here and now, in this place of love and peace, I give great, great thanks. I know that God is all there is, flowing through every person here, in every part of this service. And I know what we broadcast together is love, inclusivity, acceptance, and peace. I know that everything happens now exactly as it should be, that Reverend Cece, as she returns to us, is absolutely a perfect, divine conduit for the message from God. I know that this is a wonderful, peaceful place. A place of love. A place that I love. And I am simply grateful. Grateful for this time together and all that transpires. And so it is.
So I'm really glad to be back here. I have missed you a whole bunch. And I said to my husband yesterday that working for a living was less fun than being on vacation. But but I've missed being here with you. So if I had my ideal job, it would be I could do whatever I wanted most of the time, but I'd be here with you every Sunday. Wouldn't that be great? Oh. But what I did on my vacation, first I got completely caught up with the world of British detective novels. I'm addicted to British murder mysteries, believe it or not, but so I read a lot of them. And then I did a lot of relaxing so that I could see the big picture again. You know, you lose track of it sometimes. You can't see the big picture. And it was nice to just step back and wait until I could catch that big picture view again. And then I started to read and work with a book that has been recommended to me by a million of my colleagues. It's called Spiritual Bypassing, When Spirituality Disconnects Us from What Really Matters, by Robert Augustus Masters. This is a significant book. So I've been working on that and working with that, and then I came back and picked up my little yearly book that we put together of topics and said, oh, I love the way the universe works. The reading last week, which we didn't use because we had a guest speaker, but here's the reading. It's from our founder, Ernest Holmes. He says, we do not say that everything is all right when it is all wrong. We do not say peace when there is no peace, but rather we try to discover what is wrong and why we do not have peace. We do not say that people are not poor, sick, or unhappy. We ask why these things should be, if the original cause of all things is harmonious and perfect and radiant and happy. He's talking there about avoiding spiritual bypass. And so, I kind of said, oh, this is good. I need to talk about that today. And we're also getting ready to head into a several-month-long exploration of our main spiritual practice, our main way of reorganizing our thoughts, which is affirmative prayer. So it kind of all came together perfectly. And in his book, here's how Masters defines spiritual bypass. It's very simple. He says it's the use of spiritual practices or beliefs to avoid dealing with our painful feelings or our unhealed, unresolved wounds. It happens when we focus only on the light of spirituality and avoid the truth of it, which is where there is light, there is always heat. There is always heat. And in spiritual bypass, we just want the light. We want to avoid the heat. So today is going to be one of those days, the job of a minister is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So I'm going to be a little afflictive today. Gently so. Today's reading was about the fact that everything that we do, everything that we think, every word that we speak, and every action we take influences the environment around us. What we drip into the collective, drop by drop, is eventually what shows up in the collective. We experience in our lives not what is, but what we are, because we're creating this impulse in the collective, right? And so these two readings came together in my mind, and I said, this is a really important conversation. There's a lot to say about it, so I might run on a little bit longer, but I'll try to be brief. We are raised in a culture, in the whole West, but particularly here in the U.S., where we're taught and supported to seek the light and avoid the heat, right? We want it all, and we want it right now, and we want it with no pain. And that has caused us to become pretty regular in our practice of spiritual bypass. We bypass in lots of ways, but specifically today I'm talking about spiritual bypass. But it never works. It never works. We've affirmed like mad and prayed like mad, and nothing seems to change sometimes for us. I had, while I was gone, several conversations with several people on this very subject. Why isn't it working? It hasn't changed because we haven't changed. We haven't become the people we came here to be. We've been drawn to the light, but have steadfastly avoided the heat. See, I think that we, meaning we all over the globe, and we in Centers for Spiritual Living, we're on the cusp of a new way of looking at things, at our culture even. We're at the place where we can no longer look at the world and try to change it through our effort. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean we don't do anything. We stop trying to change it through our effort and our will. We're at the place where what is required is for us to deeply and truly change ourselves. Deeply and truly. We've practiced affirmation and meditation and manifestation, and now it's time to practice transformation. To walk right into the heat and to embrace the painful feelings we have, to embrace the fact that we all have unresolved wounds and to heal them. And to stop avoiding the heat. Because if we avoid the heat, we never find the light. We just never find it. Have you ever prayed for something really hard? Have you ever desired something a whole lot and it doesn't come about? Do you ever pray for the world and then you open your eyes and go, this isn't it. This is not what I've been praying for. This is not the world I want to be living in. We have not yet addressed the deepest unresolved wound of all. And that is that we hold ourselves separate from the divine. We hold ourselves as alone in this universe, as standing here all by ourselves, thinking that we have to do something to change the situation. And we don't know what to do. And that causes us discomfort. And so we bypass the discomfort. We try to escape that heat. Instead of being transformed by the situation, we try to figure out how to ignore the situation or pretend it's not happening. Instead of seeking peace within ourselves, we seek to control what's going on out there. When we cannot, we say, well, it's all good. And we walk away whistling like little kids in the dark woods. Even when it's not all good. On some level, yes, there is good there. But we cannot not address the part that's in our human existence. Instead of being the divine intelligence in action, I think we've been seeking to use the divine intelligence to get our own way. To get our own way. There's a different view of things. It's time for us all to step into becoming mystics, really. Every mystical tradition offers us this idea. In different words and in different languages, but the meaning is the same. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is a long conversation between God and man, Krishna, God, says to the man, Arjuna, perform work in this world, Arjuna, as a man established within himself, without selfish attachments and alike in success and defeat, with perfect evenness of mind. And the Master Jesus told his disciples, seek ye first the kingdom of God, which he also told us was within. And then he said, all else shall be given unto you. Once we understand truly and deeply and really that the kingdom and queendom of God lies within us, everything else just sort of seems to take care of itself, right? But we got stuck on the second half of that. All else shall be given unto you. And we said, okay, I can have everything I want if I just seek the kingdom of God. If I do my spiritual work, my material wants will take care of themselves. But what Jesus was telling his disciples is the point is to seek the kingdom. That's the point. The point is not to get stuff. The point is to seek the kingdom. The point is to find a place within us where nothing else needs to change in order for us to be okay. Nothing else needs to change, but we're still okay. When we let go of our attachment to the stuff out here that we use to make ourselves feel okay, whether it's lipstick or shopping or drugs or alcohol or exercise or work or whatever else it is that we do to try to fill this hole. In Ernest Holmes' piece from last week on don't fool yourself, don't say good when there is no good, he says, one of the chief offices of spiritual mind healing is to relieve the mind of fear, to compose the thought, and permit it to reflect the deep inner feeling that comes from conscious union with the Spirit. So in order to attain that conscious union, in order to step into the light, we have to walk through the heat. We do. We have to walk through the heat. I don't know about you, but I look around and I see us all so stressed out. Everybody's so stressed out. We live in this sort of state of low-grade terror right now. And the world appears to be changing rapidly right before our eyes and we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do about it. We don't know how to respond. And everybody seems to be struggling. They're struggling with their material needs, or they're struggling feeling okay about themselves, or they're struggling with the pain of watching what's going on maybe at the border or with people of color or whatever the situation is, whatever's on the news. And it seems like the primary response to all that struggle is fear and absorption with self. Have you noticed how many times you'll actually hold the door for somebody and they walk through and they never even acknowledge that you just held the door for them?
Yeah.
I find that very odd. I find it odd that people don't hold the door for each other. They just keep walking and let it slam, in whoever's behind them's face. I find that very odd. I find it odd that we are sometimes so absorbed in our phones that we don't see anything other than us and that connection right there. There's a self-absorption that is, looks like he needs something. Thank you, Stephanie. There's a self-absorption that's going on that's kind of bizarre. And I think it comes because we're all sort of in this tension, in this place of tension and low-grade fear that removes us from our peace. Let me put it that way. When we let me find my place again. All of that makes us feel extremely tired. That kind of stress and tension actually saps our energy. And what I think what we're really tired of is that we keep trying to force the world into the order that we think it ought to be in. And when it doesn't happen, we sort of put our eyes over our hands over our ears and close our eyes and hope and want it to be different, and then we open our eyes and it's the same old, same old, same old. But there is a different way here. There's a different way of seeking instead that place of peace within, that kingdom, that queendom that is within each one of us. Because when we find that place of wholeness, then everything else does take care of itself. We don't get knocked off of our place of peace. Now, when we do that, it doesn't mean that money's going to fall from the sky, although sometimes that happens. It doesn't mean that the politicians are going to start doing nice things for the kids at the border. It doesn't mean that the shootings will stop. None of that stuff. What it means is that nothing and no one ever can take us or shake us from our own peace. That's what it means. It means that wherever we go, we bring that with us. It means that we've created a space within ourselves that is large enough to hold the pain and the faith, the disillusionment and the hope, the heat and the light, together. We've created a space that's large enough and peaceful enough to take those two things in, those two sides in, and just let them be. And that's the transformation I'm talking about. For us, for example, avoiding spiritual bypass means we acknowledge the hurt when the hurt happens. We don't say, I'm not going to allow myself to feel this. Feeling is who we are. It's the human part of us. We have to feel it, right? We also acknowledge the compassion we have when we look at the world and say, ooh, this hurts. Bad things are happening to people. That hurts my heart, and I need to do something different here. It means we keep our compassion when we look at ourselves and our own enormous confusion and our own enormous, I don't even know how to put it. We're contradictory beings. We're confused. We're confusing. We make mistakes. And very often, we're not very compassionate with ourselves. And we have to be compassionate with ourselves as well. When we can acknowledge those two things, when we can create that larger space, then we have a chance of doing what Ernest Holmes urges us to do, which is to reorganize the whole body of our thinking. Not a small task. Reorganize the whole body of your thinking, he says. It's not hard. It took him a lifetime, right? I mean, it's not easy. It took him a lifetime. We acknowledge the hurt. We acknowledge the fear. We acknowledge the I don't know what the hell to do here. And we connect it with the peace that we find at our deepest state. We connect it with that peace, and we bring that peace to our acknowledgement of the fear and the pain and the loneliness and the confusion. We bring the light and the heat together. And we just hold them. We just hold them. We let them be. Because then what happens? Whatever emotion we're talking about has a chance of becoming transmuted into something new. Into something new. When we acknowledge our pain, our grief, our confusion, our despair, and we bring it into a reorganized consciousness, then we can let it be fuel. We can let it be fuel for us rather than something that saps us. We let it be our moral fire, if you will. We let it be the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning. And we can only do that once we acknowledge it and experience it and connect it with our deepest selves. When we bring it to the kingdom or the queendom of God within us, when we become established within ourselves, as the Gita suggests. When we don't, when we simply refuse to feel and acknowledge the pain of the situation, or when we just say, it's all good, I know it's all going to work out, without acknowledging where we are, those emotions don't go away, they go underground. They go underground and they sap us of vital energy. And they continue to sap us. And that's why Holmes says, we don't say everything's all right when it is not all right. We don't say peace when there's no peace. Rather, we discover what is really wrong and why we do not have peace. We find within ourselves the place that lacks peace, and we resolve that. We transform it. You don't have to worry about her making noise. It sounds like song to me. So, okay. You know, when we acknowledge what's going on and we seek to have a new relationship with it, one that's large enough and spacious enough to let the pain and the peace be there, the confusion and the joy, the light and the heat, when we can do that, we start broadcasting, as Ernest Holmes puts it, something brand new into the collective consciousness. A sense of wholeness, meaning I am excluding no part of myself. I am excluding no part of you. We're in this together, and we are sending into the collective all of who we are. That's something brand new. I know this all sounds sort of airy-fairy, so I want to take an example. One that is big, anger. I don't know about you, but I was raised up to say that women did not show anger, because women who show anger are called many things, none of them good, right? Robert Augustus Masters asked an interesting question in his book. He said, would we consider grief therapy successful if it did not include the actual expression of grief? We would not. So why do we consider anger management successful when it includes no actual expression of anger? I think the problem is not the expression of anger, it's the way we express it. He says, there are several ways to express anger, and depending on the way that you do it, you can transform it. You know, I don't know, but if we're not at least a little bit angry watching what's going on around our globe, we must be asleep, right? Mm-hmm. So we can hold that anger in and let it wreak havoc in our bodies and minds. Often we do that, and we wind up with ulcers and depression and all sorts of other things. We can let our anger out. But if we do that without caring about our anger, without bringing our peace to our anger, it often leads to aggression and violence. It's the cause of what's being called toxic masculinity, I think. Because no one's ever taught men how to, they're taught to express, but not how to transform and then express. Women are taught to bottle and instead of how to transform and express. We can hold our anger mindfully, which is a necessary step, I think. Attend to it meditatively to see what it is, what the process of it is, and who this I who is feeling angry really is. That's part of how we bring our peace to it. And ultimately, we transform it. We consciously allow our anger, joined with that peace, to become what Masters calls heart anger. Anger and compassion, heat and light, consciously and beneficially coexisting. This kind of anger is anchored in our full-blooded aliveness, our yes to being here in human form, our full-blooded enjoyment of all that being human implies, and in clear, deep, ferocious caring for each other. It's fierce compassion, it's radically inclusive, and it has sufficient faith in life to persist. To persist in caring for each other, to persist in caring for ourselves, and it also has the guts to take calm and peaceful action, and to speak for what it believes in. What kind of change would it make in our collective consciousness if everybody knew how to transmute their anger into this heart anger, into this fierce compassion for ourselves and our world? I think things would change pretty radically, don't you? I think if that's what everyone were dripping into the consciousness, things would change. It happens when we bring together our feelings and our peace, whatever's going on out there, and this deep core of peace. The thought process would not be any longer, I'm so angry I'm going to tear somebody up, or I'm so angry I'm going to, lean on my horn and flip that driver off, or whatever it is, however we express it. Instead, it would be, I see this suffering, it triggers my heart anger, so I'm going to do what I can do to care for the person who is suffering, whether it's me or somebody else. I'm going to do what I can do to care for that person, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to change the way things get done around here. But it's done from a place of compassion, not just rage, not just anger. This is a balancing act. It's the balancing of paradox, which we talk about a lot, which is the essence of being human, right? Everything is paradoxical. And we start with seeking that kingdom or queendom within. We start through our spiritual practice, through meditation, through contemplation, cultivating a relationship with that sense of deep peace that's already there. And we become willing to see those feelings and those emotions as simply part of what it is all about. It is a natural part. They're not things to be judged. They're tender and disenfranchised pieces of ourselves. And so we bring them to the peace, and we bring the peace to them. The other thing we need on a daily basis is joy. A writer named Marie Sambalay said, "To nourish the lifelong work of building a community in which all are dignified, we need daily joy. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity." And so along with attending to this inner peace, along with seeking to enlarge our own inner space, it's critical that we find things that we're joyful about daily. And they can be little tiny things. The joy of a relationship. The joy of, the aroma of baking bread or cinnamon or roses or whatever it is. It might be the joy of simply acknowledging that we've touched a deeper and larger peace today than yesterday. It's very, very important for us to take the time to find our daily joy, because without it we become tired and bitter and forget what we're really all about. So we bring the joy with us as we go within, as we bring the peace within to whatever's going on. We bring the joy with us as we walk straight into the heat, because where there is heat, there is also light, right? So we walk straight into the heat with us. We bring the heat to the light, and we bring the light to the heat, and then we bring joy to all of it. That's where things begin to become transformed. This is a continuing conversation. It's one that we will continue as we, did you lose them? Lost them all, oh good. One that we will continue as we examine or reorganizing the whole body of our thinking over the next couple of months. But let's start with heat. Let's start with light. Let's start with joy. And let's start with peace. Right now, let's start with prayer. If you will, just join me in consciousness. The way we pray is not what you may be used to. It is a way of rearranging a piece of our own consciousness by first acknowledging that there is something in the universe that encompasses all. There is something in the universe that is powerful. It is that same thing that somehow, in a moment, brought into being all matter and all energy. And that matter and that energy has expanded ever since and continues to expand and continues to create stars and planets, moons and asteroids, galaxies and solar systems, and life. Life itself, which has sprung from that same initial moment in which everything was created, but yet that continues to change and evolve and show up newly and always becoming something more. And it is that life which lives within each one of us, that same urge to become more and more and more, lies behind all that humans do, all of our creativity, all of our thinking, indeed even all of our pain. Whether it is the pain of becoming or the pain of resisting becoming. It is that same infinite life that circulates in us and as us and through us and in and as and through all things. So that the joy that we find can simply be that we look around and see, as the Sufis say, we see the face of God everywhere. In a flower, in a blade of grass, in a bird, in a dog or a cat, in a child, in a person, in all that we view. That life is expressing itself. It is everywhere, it is everywhen, and it is right where we are. And we are at choice because of our consciousness, that amazing thing that has evolved into self-knowledge. We are at choice to choose where we focus, how we receive and how we send this vibration of life and love and joy and peace and harmony. How we bring together our pain and our joy, our peace and our confusion, the heat and the light. We are at choice about that. And I know right now that we choose to do so from the place of highest wisdom, so that within each one of us we create a cradle, which is also a crucible. We love ourselves and the world so deeply, and we let that love and that peace change us. And when we are changed, we change what we do and what we say and what we think, and therefore we change our world. I know that each one of us says yes to transformation, yes to that deep, deep, deep healing, yes to becoming absolutely one with, without any mental division from, that power that goes by 10,000 names, Spirit, God, the universe, intelligence, whatever you call it, however you think about it. We just say yes to allowing no division between us and it. And that means no division between us and each other. I simply know this is the way of things. This is how we respond when we are called upon to evolve and become all that we came here to be. And I give great thanks for it. I give great thanks for the consciousness in this room, in this community, in this neck of the woods, and in all centers for spiritual living. And I speak a word right now of deep peace for all those who are facing fires in California. I speak a word of deep peace for all people everywhere. May their deep peace take them wherever they need to go. And may they know that nothing and no one can ever take that peace away from them. And so in deep gratitude for our time together today and for everyone who is here, I simply release these words. I let them go. I know that I have framed up an idea in consciousness that the universe is ready to say yes to, and I let go of anything blocking it. I let go of anything unlike it. I simply let it be. And we say together, and so it is.
Just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of light. We are all just drops within a stream flowing towards an ocean of light. We may forget where we come from. As I'm a reflection of you, I am just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me, and I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where we come from, when I remember where we're going to, then I can see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. My simple prayer, may I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer, may I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer, may I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer, may I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Will our ushers please come up here? Now we have an opportunity to support the mission of this center, which is to provide powerful tools for people to use to become transformed. When we give to the center, that's what we're supporting. And so I ask you to give what you can and do it consciously. And I ask you to be as generous as possible today because it's pay week. You know what that means sometimes during the summer around here. One of these days I'll cash my paycheck. So this is for some extra. I give normally electronically, but I had a wedding while I was off and I made some extra cash. So here's my 10% of that with my gratitude. So let's take our gift in our hands and our hearts and affirm together. I know the activity of abundance in my life and in this center. I know the activity of abundance in my life and in this center. I give and receive generously from this everlasting flow of good. I give and receive generously from this everlasting flow of good. And so it is.
So it is.
Nice to have you.
It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Just so you know, today's the fifth Sunday, which is why we have all the children in the congregation with us. We'll be back to our normal kids programming, which may involve mud next week. We don't know. Third Sunday is mud, so the first Sunday is not mud. But anyway, we'll be back to our regular youth programming next week. And I just want to say thanks to all of you for being here today. It's so nice to be back with you, and thanks to the ushers and the greeters and the practitioners and the welcome team. And as always, gentlemen, you are the bomb. Thank you. Thank you, Higher Mind Band. Thank you, Kyle. You need to give up that other job and be here every Sunday. when we pay you more, I know. Anyway, thanks to all of you for making today possible. Let's stand for our closing affirmation and our closing song, We Are One. And when it's birthday Sunday, I almost forgot, it's birthday Sunday. We have, oh God, there's fried chicken? There's fried chicken and cake. I don't eat meat, but there's fried chicken and cake. And happy birthday to Harrison Briney, Rhea Collette, Mark Fowler, Keith Gunderkline, Peggy Merritt, Braxton Moorhead, and Becky Rojero Victor, who is off somewhere, but she'll be back soon. Happy birthday to all of our July babies, and please join us in the social hall for cake and food. So right now, affirm with me, I do not hesitate.
I do not hesitate
To walk into the heat.
to walk into the heat.
For there I find the light.
For there I find the light.
I let the peace within me
I let the peace within me
fill my world.
fill my world.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.